Most people have never cooked with this, and honestly, that's kind of a shame, because this might be one of the more underrated foods for weight loss and general health. This is tempeh, and for the last week, I've been eating this for lunch every single day. And I was tracking one thing specifically, how hungry I was at 3 p.m. Now, I built a satiety lunch, a simple meal prep, something really easy that I think will keep you full, but I will explain a little bit more of that later. And I tracked one thing specifically, how hungry I was at 3 p.m. Because for most people, that's when things kind of fall apart. The 3 o'clock crash is known to be where some cravings kick in. So did this lunch work? We'll find out. But first, I wanted to show you this lunch and how I actually made it. It's really simple. We're gonna meal prep about 5 days worth, and we're gonna make tempeh taste pretty dang good, because tempeh can be tricky, but it can also be incredibly good. Now, before we cook anything, let me give you a quick 60-second version of what this actually is, because I believe a lot of people either haven't heard of this or have completely written it off. I know I did for a long time. I tried it one time, didn't really enjoy it, and then I never had it again. And I'm kind of kicking myself because it's really good. Tempeh originates from Indonesia, and it's been eaten there for centuries. It's made from whole soybeans, which goes through a fermentation process that binds them together into this firm, dense cake. Now, that fermentation is the key, and I'll come back to that in a bit. But this stat is the one that's incredibly surprising. A 100-gram serving of tempeh has about 20.7 grams of protein. Ground beef comes in at 19.7 grams of protein per 100 grams. So we're basically talking the equivalent protein to ground beef. And this also comes with fiber, which beef does not have. Now, before I get the digestibility, folks, this comes in just as high as ground beef. This could be a game changer for a weight loss lunch that also helps you maintain high protein for the gym and retaining muscle. This is a very strong nutritional profile. High protein keeps you full, high fiber slows digestion, the low calorie density means you can eat a significant amount of food without blowing your numbers. And my meal prep version for lunch is gonna make that even easier. So this is the base that I use to build my 5-day meal prep. 5 servings. I'm gonna use my griddle on my stovetop so that way I can cook everything in one shot, make it incredibly easy. I just threw that on the stove on 2 burners, set both burners to a medium-low heat, and let that warm up. I'm gonna slice the tempeh into planks. We need to get 5 servings out of these. And then I'm gonna marinate them just in a large bowl using a little soy sauce, a little bit of garlic, smoked paprika, a little bit of salt, and then just brush that on. Nothing really complicated. Now, while that's marinating, I'm gonna toss the potatoes in a bowl in the microwave for about 5 minutes, which is plenty of time for me to tell you about my Made-In carbon steel griddle that I'm using today from today's sponsor. Made-In designs professional quality products for the home cook. I've been using Made-In since almost the beginning of this channel, like way back. Their cookware is trusted by real chefs in over 4,000 top-rated restaurants, but also used by 1.4 million home cooks. I'm gonna show you a fun way to steam broccoli here in a minute, just with a small saucepan. And I've had the carbon steel griddle for a couple of years now, and it's one of the most versatile pieces of cookware I own. You can use it on an open flame, on a gas or an electric stovetop, which I'm doing here today, and it makes meal prepping really easy. It's heat safe up to 1200 degrees, plus it's pre-seasoned and naturally non-stick, which means it's free from harmful chemicals, no PFAS or forever chemicals here. So gang, you're gonna see how versatile this is in today's video. So check out the carbon steel griddle and Made-In's other cookware by using the link in my description to save on your order. So the potatoes have cooked a bit. I'm gonna cube them up, add a bit of salt, garlic powder, black pepper, and then just a little bit of oil. You're gonna mix that up and then just throw them into a bowl to set aside. Now at this point, I can tell you about that broccoli, which is so easy. I just took my broccolini, washed it, chopped the end off, took my Made-In saucepan, stuffed it in there because I'm making enough for 5 days, so it fills the entire saucepan. Threw a bit of water in the pan, a little bit of salt, and then just put the lid on top. It doesn't close completely. You actually don't want it to close completely because it's just gonna be steaming throughout. We're just gonna steam this broccoli. It's gonna come out perfect and kind of just keep it on a low heat, and it's super simple. Now at this point, the griddle is hot. I have my griddle press pretty hot as well. I'm gonna throw the tempeh on, throw the press right on top here. We'll move that press around a little bit. And at the same time, a little spray on the side, and we'll toss our potatoes on. Okay, so while this is finishing up, I wanted to tell you about the last piece of this, one of the most interesting parts, and it's not the protein. It's the fermentation. The fermentation process that makes tempeh actually changes the nutritional composition of the soybean. It increases the protein content, changes the fiber profile by increasing soluble fiber, and makes the bioactive compounds more absorbable by your body. So you're not just eating a compressed brick of soybeans. The fermentation has already done the work on those nutrients. It broke them down, made them more available, and increased what you actually absorb versus what just passes through. Now, there's also research that shows tempeh improves your gut microbiome biodiversity in human trials, specifically increasing beneficial bacteria strains that improve your gut health. Now, the one thing that I understand, and I want to be very honest with you, I think a lot of the gut microbiome stuff is kind of blown out of proportion, at least overhyped online. So I'm not going to tell you that tempeh is going to transform your gut microbiome. What I will say is that fermented foods are constantly showing up in this research as having beneficial effects. And after eating this daily, my digestion was genuinely good. Now that's just one data point, that's me, it's anecdotal, so take that as you will. So at this point, the tempeh is done. It looks really good. So let's weigh all this, box it up, and meal prep our week. I have these little paper things that I use for meal prep. They're actually like a bamboo biodegradable. They're pretty awesome. I can leave a link below if you would like. I like to personally weigh everything. You can just divide it up by 5 if you want, but I want to know exactly how many nutrients are in here. That's just me and what I do. But we're gonna do about 200 grams of potatoes in each package, 76 grams of broccolini, and around 90 grams of tempeh. That's it. That is our bowl. That's our lunch. That's pretty good. That's a decent amount of food. Now, at this point, I'm going to make a dressing, which I like to just pour over because I think the flavors kind of soak in. It's really simple. It is a tablespoon of tahini, which is a little less than 100 calories, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, garlic powder, salt. I'm just gonna mix that up. If it's still too thick to be a dressing, you can add just a little bit of water. Fresh garlic would be good in it. You don't have to use garlic powder. You know, people are probably kicking themselves with this right here because probably thinking, why not use fresh garlic? Well, because I like to just make this stuff really quick. Still comes out pretty good. So this is gonna add around 20 calories to each one of these. Now, I'm not gonna put it on the potatoes. I'm gonna do a little pour over the tempeh and the broccoli. Now, volume-wise, this is a significant amount of food, which is intentional, but it's also not a ton. This portion comes out to 356 calories, 26 grams of protein, 9 grams of fat, and 43 grams of carbs. I didn't count in the tahini, so you'd probably add another 20 calories to that. But after having a large breakfast, this lunch, which is gonna be very satiating because of the potatoes, and once the potatoes cool down, it's actually a resistant starch, which is really good. It should keep you full throughout the day. So let's go over and talk about how the days actually went for the week. So here's what actually happened throughout the week. Days 1 and 2 eating lunch like this, really not much change. You might feel a little fuller than normal, but by 3 p.m., you're probably still grabbing a snack, or at least I was. On day 3 though, I did notice some shifts. I'm used to eating larger meals, but I did this after a vacation just to kind of reset. I wanted to design something easy so that way I can kind of come back and get back into it. And by day 3, I kind of started to feel back to normal again, how I was. I was feeling full throughout the day. My hunger cravings and just cravings in general were gone. I just wasn't hungry. The point to where after the marathon training and after the vacation and eating a lot of different foods and eating constantly all day long, I wanted to get back to the point to where I wasn't always thinking about food. This helps. And then days 4 through 7 remained consistent. Full through the afternoon, not stuffed, not uncomfortable. I was able to consistently eat a dinner, whatever I wanted, nothing that essentially I wasn't feeling bloated, which sometimes more high satiety meals will do that, which might sound kind of boring, but honestly, that's the truth. And that was kind of the point. I wanted something that would keep me full, not bloated, but just satisfied. The protein and fiber combination here is really what's doing the work. The higher protein in this box is slowing gastric emptying, which means that your stomach holds on to foods longer. And the high fiber is essentially doing the same thing, but just through a different mechanism. So together, the protein and fiber, small box like this, after a good breakfast, is going to keep you full throughout the day until at least you get to dinner time. So a few things I want to flag before sending you on your way. If you've never had tempeh, it has a distinct taste. It's slightly nutty, slightly bitter. I enjoy it. I used to not. If you've never had it, there might be a little bit of an adjustment. You might want to add some more sauce. but it is something that you can really grow to love, and honestly, I never thought I would. I hated tempeh. This channel was a plant-based channel for years, and I very rarely used it, and now I'm using it a lot more. The nice thing about tempeh is it does respond really well to flavors. Honestly, even just like things like barbecue come out really great on tempeh. And if you have a soy allergy, there are tempehs made from other legumes. Black beans, chickpeas. It might be worth looking into if this is something that you're really interested in trying. You can swap out the potatoes with like a brown rice, or a quinoa. That would work really well. Quinoa is going to probably have a similar nutrition profile to the potatoes. I like the potatoes because they are the most satisfying food. Potatoes have the highest satiety ranking. So gang, if you want more like this, real tests, real food, click the subscribe button. Couple new videos every week. I can't wait for you to see the next one where I actually fixed my sleep. Perfect sleep score every night. No joke. Every night.